Howdy, people. We have close to 50 right now. We have close to 60 right now, and seems to be scaling as well, which is good. Welcome all for one other session of Office Us. And before I run an introduction, I'm going to wait for a couple of more minutes. But you know the drill. Drop on the comments where you're from, and also do let us know if you're an agency, freelancer, or if you're a SaaS business. We'd love to know. Chicago, hi, hi. Bryce is here. Lovely. Travis is a freelancer. Yes, sir. London, UK digital agency. Love it. Abu Dhabi. Ohio agency. Hi, Sebastian. How's it going?
Lots of agencies in here.
Yeah, all the time. Love it. Delhi. Beautiful. Agency in Surrey, London. One more minute and probably we'll kickstart. Silly, the meeting is being recorded, so we'll anyway share it with you, and it'll also be out on YouTube. So you don't have to have a note taker. Anytime. One more minute and we kickstart the session. I want to do it, but I also see people joining. So let's give one more minute so we have everybody in the house. Both of us are from India. I'm from India. Atishay, where are you from?
From India as well.
Lovely. Bunty, love it. Perfect. So without further ado, let's kickstart. So as you all saw, we have the man here. We have Atishay Jain, who's the founder of Hyperkey. And today, as you all saw the title, right? So today is the class of mastering email copies, effective email copies, conversational email copies, and how you can maximize your engagement, your reply rates, and how you can achieve consistent deliverability. And as you all would have seen, Atishay also has been achieving 70% or 69% or 72% reply rates. So today we'll be diving more into it. We'll love to hear his insights on all of these topics. So without further ado, Atishay, I hand over the mic to you. We'd love to hear from a quick round of introduction from you, please.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Akash. So like Akash introduced myself, I'm Atishay Jain, the founder at Hyperkey. We've been running outbound for the last 5 years. We started back in 2019. And over the years, we've seen lots of things change, from copy to email infrastructure to deliverability to tactics that work. And the idea for this session came from that one campaign where we had 70% positive reply rates. And today I'm going to talk about copy, about how we take those replies, convert them into actual appointments in business, and just how we do outreach for ourselves, for our clients, and the systems that have helped us, help our clients make over $8 million in the last 5 years. So yeah, excited to get into this.
Awesome. So without further ado, the first topic we'll be covering is, we speak about it a lot, but we see it changing, right? And everybody has different views on it. So the first topic we'll be covering is email copywriting and offer strategy, right? So Atishay, we'd love from you as to how can you craft an effective email copy, a conversational copy, because that's what seems to be working for people, right?
Right. So There's a few things, right? And let me just quickly share screen. So I put together like a doc so that we have
Yeah,
some picture for the call. But
please.
okay, let me know if you see this.
Yeah, we can see a screen.
Cool. Yeah. So just put this together. So we have, some structure, but essentially when it comes to copy, there's two things we look at. One is obviously before you even talk about copy, before you even get into writing copy or thinking of what to say in your emails, you want to start by strategizing on what you want to achieve from a campaign. And I say this because, since a lot of the people in the audience, they're agency owners as well, not every one of your clients is going to be the same. So you're going to have clients that want to work with Fortune 500 companies, and you're going to have clients that target everybody from the local mom and pop shop to, businesses with 1,000, 2,000 employees. So your approach to each industry segment and your copy, your messaging, and the level of personalization that you put into your email scripts is going to depend on your target audience. So anytime we onboard someone new, we start with answering the three questions: who, what, and why. And initially, we used to do this, spending lots of time going back and forth with the clients, manually researching stuff. Now with AI, with ChatGPT, with Perplexity, things like that, you can do all of this in like a 45-minute session, just go back and forth asking questions to AI. So you want to find out who you're going after. You not just find out, but clearly define who you're going after. Based on that, you decide, if your TAM is large, you're probably going to benefit a lot from doing a few small campaigns in the beginning, scaling the one that is giving you decent results, and then just, doing large volume outreach. If your TAM is smaller, it's gonna be a lot better for you to spend time to segment your list, use something like Clay. So Clay, we don't use Clay to get personalization variables, but we use it to, so Clay Agent and Serper, we use some of these APIs to find information that is otherwise hard to find. For example, you can scrape product names from e-commerce websites pages. You can find out whether or not a certain company is involved with a certain initiative. For example, a lot of e-commerce brands, they're planting trees or they're supporting charities, children's charities. So you can find all of that out using Serper, right? So you want to create segmented lists, or you want to go with a broad approach. That's a decision you need to take as an agency, and that is one of the tests you run. So like decide what makes the most sense for the TAM you're going after, then build a strategy around that. Now, when it comes to actual copy, I'll give you a few examples of what we use here.
Please.
The first and the most important thing with copy is not asking for a call. And until 2020, 2021, back when we started outreach, the most effective CTA was just asking someone if they were available for a call. These days, what we've found to be the most effective, and this was one of the main reasons we got such a high positive reply rate, is because you're giving people something that they really want, right? So if you look at these response, like this screenshot, this is where everything started, right? Most of the people, like if 70% of the people that respond to you are responding positively, that means you're doing something right. So give them something that involves zero risk for them. So offer something like a useful lead magnet, offer to build them a landing page, offer to do something for them that involves zero risk. And then once you actually when you're actually talking to them, right? That is when you diagnose what they need, and that is when you actually position yourself as the expert and make a sales pitch. So this is something we consult all of our clients on. Or with the email, all you want to do is just sell the first call. Like give them a reason to get on a first call with you. On that discovery, it is up to you, up to the salesperson to decide what makes the most sense to be for the prospect, and then sell them on that. So give them something that's easy to say yes to. Start there. Offer something valuable, and put yourselves in the prospect shoes. So oftentimes I see, and when I consult people, I see you would see a framework that's been, like people are talking about it on LinkedIn. You'll see something that, a piece of copy that's been working for others, and you'll try to copy that to your market. Now, that doesn't always work, because if your prospects are in an industry that sees all of these things every day, for example, if you're targeting e-commerce, uh, pretty much nothing works. There's so many people targeting e-commerce. If something's working today, there's a chance 2 weeks later it won't work, unless what you're selling intention, or what you're selling or what you're offering in that email has intrinsic value, right? So there was a point of time, for example, where people would write first lines. They would say things like, "Oh, I really love that sweater on your website," or I like the food you're making for my dog. I bought that for my dog." Shit like that. And that's great. But these days, an e-commerce brand owner, if they read something like this, they know it's fake. They know it has nothing to do with their business, right? But if you're offering something, and this goes back to my point earlier, if you're offering something that's valuable for them, like, look at this script that's been working well for us. If you're offering to build them a landing page for a specific product, they're going to say yes to it if that's something they need. And so this is what you want to be doing. Like, the value you want to be delivering in your email is not something that strokes their ego, is not a compliment about their dog products, but the value that you want to be delivering is something that's relevant to your offer, right? So that's number one. Put yourself in the prospect shoes. If you were the prospect, what is it that you would want to see? Like, what would make you respond? When you write something, just go through everything you've written. See if you would respond to it. If you were a busy CMO who has quarter 4 coming up, who has a million things to handle, would you respond to a long ass email that says, "Yeah, I like the products you sell about it, like the dog products on your website, and we've done this, done that." Or if someone were just to tell you, "Look, I know you're running ads. It's quarter 4, it's high time. We could actually help you cut costs on your landing page. Can we build one for you for free?" So just take all of that into consideration when you write copy. There's no secret formula. A lot of people, they're scared of sharing scripts, or they don't want to share the scripts that are working for them. I don't mind doing it. Like, these are, for example, some of the scripts that are working for us. And if you look at the script, you'll see that it's super simple. Sometimes we send these to our clients for reviews, and they're like, "Okay, is that it? Like, is there nothing else?" And the truthful answer is yes, it's really this. Like, all of the actual intelligence when it comes to being a good outbound marketer, it goes into creating something that's worth buying rather than using the right words to sell it. Of course, it does play a role. Like, you still need to get the basics right. So your copy needs to be short, needs to be conversational, shouldn't scream spam. Like, you shouldn't be asking people to click links. You shouldn't be asking people to, like, you shouldn't be using weird formatting. All of that still comes into play. But at the end of it, all you're trying to do is really convey, like, put yourself in front of people and offer something valuable. So cold email, in my opinion, is like the cheapest channel to get eyeballs. That's all you're trying to do.
Right. Right. Well said.
So
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And that covered major portion of it. Do you have anything else to add, Atishay?
no, that's pretty much all I had for copy. And there's like, you could talk about this forever, but I'll let people ask questions, and if they have anything in addition to this, let me just open
Right.
up, see if people have anything else to ask, and we'll answer those.
And I'm looking at the chat as well. I
Yeah,
don't see any questions though.
I hope this email. Yeah, GPT is not us. And this is something we've never had AI write good emails for us. I know a lot of people talk about this. I
Right.
have demos with lots of companies that offer AI written emails and SDRs, but I don't think we're at a point where AI can it just doesn't have the level of sophistication required to come up with scripts like these. You literally just have 2 sentences in these scripts, and you want to be able to pack a punch in those two sentences.
Right. And I have a question, right? So, how about the syntax usage? So, do you syntax it as much as you can, although it's a 2-3 liner, or what is your take on that, Atishay?
Absolutely. So we use GPT to, and this is one of the things we use. So GPT, we use it to syntax, and our
Mm-hmm.
objective is to make sure that every 3 or 4 words, there's at least one syntax bracket. Right. So now if I included those scripts in here, this would not even be like, you would not be able to read. This would not be legible. But essentially, the reason we use syntax is not for copy, it's more for deliverability. Right.
Got it.
The how it helps is your ESPs, they are constantly fingerprinting your scripts. So if they
Right.
see a certain phrase or a collection of 3, 4, 5 words repeated over and over, it is very likely that that script's going to stop working for you. And this might not affect you if you're sending like a few thousand emails, like a month, like if you're sending 1, 2, 3,000 emails a month. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
sending the kinds of volume we're sending, like 10, 15, 20,000 emails per month, it's, you won't be able to use the same copy month over month. And we found this out because we replaced domains. We started from scratch with new domains, and those domains ended up getting burnt within a couple of weeks. So we knew that it's something to do with the copy, because that was the only variable that's constant. So
Got
definitely
it.
use syntax.
Got it. And I see this popping on the chat as well. And based on our previous sessions, we don't cover the subject line topic as much. But what are your takes on the subject line, Tisha? What do you think are the best practices? How do you have good subject lines? Are there any examples that you can show us as well, please?
Right. So this is what I say, like test offers and angles before subject lines. What subject line you use, it's not gonna like, unless you use something that's clickbaity,
Hmm.
it's not going to impact. So our subject lines are super simple. Like we would just say, our company name, or if we have the product name variables, we'll say about product name. Or we
Right.
always want to make sure that we're using a personalized, like a variable in the subject line.
Got
So
it.
say, for first name or about product name, about product name landing page, stuff like that. We don't even like we're at a point where we don't even test, like we don't test what subject line works, what doesn't. We just go with something that's 2 or 3 words, has a variable in it, and
Hmm. And that
keep
has
it,
been working fine for you as well, is it?
yeah, keep it simple. Like there's so many bigger things to test. Like we have when we start campaigns, there's so much more to test, like segmented lists, different niches, whether or not we use a product name. There's already so
Mhm.
many variations to test that if we were to also add subject lines to the mix, it would get super complicated and we
Right.
would not have significant data to be able to make any decisions.
Got it. Got it. I'm also reading through the chat. So there's one from Abhishek. At times doing personalization leads to time loss and not being able to reach out to more customers. How to personalize faster so that we're able to target more people?
Right.
Any
So
thoughts on that? Yeah.
yeah, so this is like again, there's always a trade-off between the number of people you're reaching out to and personalization, right? So if let's say you have a list, and personalization can, like let's say you have a total addressable market of 500,000 people. I would not bother with personalization when talking about personalization in the, like using people to write specific things about the leads, or using Clay to find specific information. But of that 500,000, if you're able to create lists, let's say 5,000 people each who have something in common, right? So let's talk e-commerce, because that was the example I used previously. If you're looking at e-commerce brands, there's like hundreds of thousands, there's millions of e-commerce brands that could be a good fit for your service. But if I can create a list of 5,000 e-commerce brands, all of who support, like, they're doing they have some charitable initiatives in place, like plant a
Mhm.
tree or something like that, then I can write super personalized scripts without really personalizing anything for them. So if I can build a list of brands that have something in common, I can tell them that, look, we also worked with this other brand who was also planting a tree for every 4 purchases, and
Mhm.
I think there might be synergies. So
Got
use
it.
stuff like that. Use your case studies to find out what personalization.
Got it. And since you handle a lot of clients, right? Joe has one question where what's working for marketing focused B2B enterprise SaaS? Have you seen anything specifically work out for them?
Right. So with our B2B SaaS clients, we have exactly that kind of, like, we have one CRM, and we're also working with another like marketing automation platform,
Mhm.
and super small, like super short scripts, and ask for a referral. Often with these larger companies, like our second or third step in the email is always asking for a referral. And there's something else which, Nick Abraham, I don't know if you like, I'm sure you're familiar. Nick Abraham,
Mhm.
he told me about this, which is if you have multiple contacts at a company and you're not able to reach out to everybody because you don't have all of their emails, name drop the other contact while asking for a referral. So with SaaS companies, people are usually like, they're kind enough to give you referrals compared to other industries. So they'll tell you
Mhm.
to reach out to this person.
Right. Right. Joe, I hope that answered your question. So we'll be moving on to the next segment if there's nothing else, because again, I see conversations happening on the chat. But moving on to the next segment, Atisha, is maintaining high deliverability, right? And you should know it best. So what are the challenges that you personally come across, and why does it remain a black box?
Right. So deliverability is like that piece, it's like a constant tug of war between outbound marketers and ESPs, because ESPs don't want, it's not that they're against outbound marketers, it's they're
Mhm.
against people who are trying to send spam using the same channel that we're using to send hopefully what's valuable emails, right?
Right. Right.
So and I don't think there's ever going to be a point where we have full transparency on how deliverability works. So you have to constantly adapt based on whatever conditions are prevalent. Right now, what's working for us is we're using a mix of different ESPs. So we're using
Right.
Base, Outlook, SMTP service providers,
Mm-hmm.
and we send high volume emails. Most of our clients they have large TAMs, so we send a large volume of emails, which is why I'm so heavy on spin tags. I'm so heavy on rotating inboxes. This is something that you should definitely consider doing. When I say rotating inboxes, I don't mean like switching inboxes within an email campaign, but just like churning. So based on our data, inboxes usually maintain perfect deliverability for a period of 4 to 6 weeks. Right
Mm-hmm.
after that point, you're like if you're still sending from that inbox, you're probably not going to land in spam if you're sending significant volume. So we set up brand new inboxes every 1 to 1.5 months, and
Got
we
it.
for our clients. So this ensures that we're consistently maintaining good deliverability. So this is important. Do this. Make sure your scripts have spin tags, and all of this is for high volume. If you're sending lower volumes, you can probably get away with not doing all of this. Like for clients where we're doing like a couple thousand emails a month, we've never
Mm-hmm.
changed inboxes for like 4, 5, 6 months, right?
Right.
If you're doing high volume, make sure you're investing in the infrastructure. If you're using Google Workspace, it's not too hard to set up Google Workspace accounts. You can do it. You can either hire a reseller to do it, or you can set up. You can use Google App Script, not App Script. I think it's called. I don't know what the script is called, but Google offers some coding thing that allows you to automate setting up inboxes. So that's how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like run with that. Everything else on this page, like that also applies to deliverability. So obviously get the basics right. DNS setup, SPF, DKIM, DMARC, anything. So on the Smartlead interface, obviously, anything that if it shows you a warning, you probably need to set that record up. And like a couple of days ago, we sent an announcement about smart delivery, which
Mm-hmm.
is so this is going to be super powerful because when we rotate inboxes, you need to find out when an inbox has actually been burned, right? So with the smart delivery feature, you can actually you can look at data and find
Mm-hmm.
out if you're placing in the inbox or if you're going to spam. So use the smart delivery feature, and like just you take all of this into consideration when deciding. It's a game, deliverability overall, it's a balancing act. So trying to make sure
Absolutely.
get everything right.
Got it. And you also answered the question that I have, right? So, any techniques in place to maintain deliverability, specifically when you're doing high volume? So, you answered that. But what I'd also like to know is if you're okay, could you also just give us a gist of your infra? You did mention the ESPs you're using, but also how many domains? Because these are questions that everybody is going to have, right? So, how many mailboxes you have per domain, and what is the kind of volume you do? So, is it okay for you to share that?
Absolutely. So when planning, we take like roughly in my head when choosing how many domains to purchase, we just think of so we set up 2 senders per domain, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the setup we're going with right now, and we go with 20 new emails per domain, and then
Right.
whatever follow up. So it's usually twice or thrice that overall per day, and this is
Right.
so 20 new prospects contacted per domain per day. Right. So if I were to, if I were to, let's say, contact 1,000 prospects a week, then that
Mm-hmm.
means I need to contact 200 per day. That means I need 10 domains,
Right.
10 and 20 senders. Right. So
Got
that's
it.
how it goes.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much for that. I'm just reading through the chat if there's something new. And there was one question as to what is the benchmark that you look at? We all run deliverability tests, right? Of course we do. But what is the point at when you come to a conclusion that I should run a deliverability test? Is it just with low open rates or low reply rates, or how is it?
Right. So we don't track opens at all.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's good you brought this up. I just kind of assumed it was common knowledge, but we don't track opens. We haven't been tracking opens for like several months now, and I don't recommend you do either. But yeah, so the number we look at is reply rates, and there's no like I can't give you a reply rate percentage, but
Mm-hmm.
in the first few weeks when you just launched a campaign, be
Mm-hmm.
careful. Like in the first few weeks, whatever reply rate you're getting, that is going to be, in most cases, the highest possible reply rate you get, as long as you're not butchering your initial campaign. So if you put some thought into initial strategy, if your first few campaigns are good, then you should be sitting around like 2 to 4 or 5% reply rate. Anything over 2% is good, right? So that's your
Got it.
benchmark. Now, if one week you suddenly notice that your reply rate dropped from 3 to 0.3%, that should tell you that, okay, these emails are not inboxing because people are not responding to your emails. Another indicator that you can look at is out of office replies or automated replies. So oftentimes in certain industries, so let's say you're
Mhm.
reaching out to local businesses, roofing
Right.
companies, solar, all of those niches, right? They will have autoresponders set up anytime you email
Mhm.
them. So if you're not getting those responses, you're probably not landing in the inbox or your email is being blocked by their servers. So
Got it.
that's indicator number two.
Got
Indicator
it.
number three is, if you're if you're receiving lots of bounces with the
Mhm.
error code, like the error message that says your message was blocked because it was spam. So,
Yep.
like go to Smartlead. If you see a high bounce rate, it's not always your list. Like it's not always that, your provider didn't validate the list. It could also be that your domains are blacklisted, that their emails are intentionally not being let through. So you want to make sure you fix that.
Absolutely. And a quick way to do it. So something that I do as well is download the bounce messages, put it
Right.
to GPT, write a prompt to give me which is the highest one, because it's going to be a mix and match of everything, right? Some
Right.
ones are it's spam, some ones the mailbox doesn't exist, etc. So write a
Right.
prompt and you might come to a conclusion as to which one has the majority. So thank you for that. And one last question, right? Talking about deliverability. What do you think of warm-ups, Atish? And do you leverage Smart Leads warm-up to increase your sender reputation?
So we've never stopped warm up for, I think a few months ago there were some talks about not using warm ups and warm ups hurting deliverability.
Mhm.
Never stopped warm ups. We continue to use them, and they've been good for us. I think
Right.
in my head, the rationale behind warm ups is if I'm sending emails, if I'm reaching out to 10 new people every day and sending like maybe 10, 15 follow-ups a day,
Mhm.
that's 25 total emails per email sender, right? Now, if of these 25, if say two respond to me and the remaining 23 don't, that doesn't look too good in the ESP's eyes. If I were to compare this to a human being who's sending emails to people they know, of the 25, you'd expect probably 10, 15 to respond. So that remaining 10 or 15, you get that from Smart Lead Warmup, right? So you send an additional 10, 15 emails, you
Got
get
it.
you ask like, so you mark 70%. The configuration we use is 70% reply rate. So you make sure that 70% of those people respond to you, and that gets your total number of responses per day up. So all of deliverability is just convincing people that you're human beings trying to contact other human beings and not using automation. Like that's all you're trying to, you're trying to mimic human behavior in the ESP.
Mhm. Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Fair enough. And the last question was from Sebastian. Sebastian, yes, you can also make use of the auto adjust feature you want in Smartlead, right? So, for example, if you're starting your cold email campaigns, the auto adjust will make sure you're sending close to 7 to 10 warm-up emails, which is making sure that you're sending emails, warm-up emails, but on a lesser volume. So you can make use of that as well. And for the participants, something that's exciting and interesting for me is at the end, Atishay has a giveaway for you guys. So probably that's something to know that you need to wait for the end of the call. But the next topic is the one that I've anticipated, the one that I've been excited for is warm calling and inbox management, right? So what are the benefits of warm calling for inbox management, Atishay?
Right. So, like, there's just so many. Like, if anyone who's run email campaigns, knows that you get positive responses, but then for some reason, you see half or even more than half. Like, we were seeing 1/5 of the people that responded positively booking calls.
Mhm.
Right. And this could be due to multiple reasons. Like it could be due to people not responding to emails. It could be because your emails and your follow-ups are not delivering to their inbox anymore. Could be due to a plethora of factors. So
Right.
warm calling eliminates all of that. It essentially ensures that if someone is interested right now, you can talk to them right now before they lose interest and get them booked on your calendar. So it's all about speed to lead, right? And
Absolutely.
like that's the biggest benefit. Now, as a side effect, it also allows you to create email scripts that get more responses. For example, let me show you an example, right?
Mhm.
So this one, where we're offering to do a landing page for them. Now, when someone reads this, they will have lots of questions before they respond, right? So we've had people say, okay, what if your landing page does worse? Like we're still paying for the traffic, or
Right.
how do you manage XYZ? Have you worked with these kinds of brands? So people ask you questions. Now, whatever we say via email to them, might not be enough for them to, might not be a
Absolutely.
satisfactory answer. But if you manage to call them and you can get those objections out of them right there on the call, you can qualify the brand. And if everything makes sense, you know that you have a solid call on the calendar because the prospect already knows what you do. You've answered their questions, so they're ready for a discovery and they're ready to be sold. And
Right.
so to say, not that you're gonna quote a price to them on the
Right.
discovery, but
Right.
they're just primed to the discovery call. So
Got it.
warm calling, I have nothing but good things to say about warm calling, and it has been, it has been huge for us after we implemented this within the business. And obviously, you need volume to be able to do this. So you need to actually be getting enough responses to be able to give the SDR enough leads to call. And not all of your leads will have phone numbers. So, when you're calling people, not everybody will, like when you get responses, you won't find everybody's phone number. But when you do, there's a good likelihood that you end up booking them or, like disqualifying them or, finding out they're not interested anymore. So it allows you to create scripts like this, which is easy to say yes to, right? You could also offer a lead magnet. So let's say someone said, yeah, please send me the lead magnet. Send them an email, immediately call them and tell them, look, I just sent you the lead magnet. By the way, how are you doing XYZ? So now you already started a conversation. The call technically was just a confirmation that I sent you the video you asked for, but how are you doing XYZ? And you can, in many cases, you can get them booked for a discovery call, even without them having to watch that video, just because you
Right.
had them on the phone, you answered all questions, and you got a call booked in. So super, super, like super effective strategy. Definitely recommend warm calling if you have the volume to do it.
Right. And that brings me to my second question, right? So a couple of years back when everything was, butterflies and flowers, open rates were legit. And people, the way they used to do warm calling is based on the lead scoring mechanism. So let's say the prospect has opened your email, you pick up the phone, you make the call. And highly likely, even though they're not interested, they're going to have some relevance saying, I just got an email from him, and they're going to be okay for the meeting. But with plain text coming in with tracking disabling, so how do you refer to warm calling? Is it just based on receiving a reply and then making a phone call right away? Or how do you place it?
Right. We only call people that respond positively, right?
Right.
I know what you're talking about. And even these days, we've spoken to clients who are in the enterprise space, many large, very famous companies, even sales teams with great results.
Mhm.
They still do the same thing. So if they see that someone's engaged with their email, if someone's opened their email, they would call that prospect up. And they discover that the prospect has no idea what they're talking about because, open tracking isn't as great anymore. People using HubSpot and things like that. HubSpot still prompts you, like it shows you a notification that someone opened your email. But anyhow, these days we only track positive replies. So when we get a positive, like this is what our flow looks like, right? We get an interested response, send it to a sheet, enrich it with a phone number or extract. So we just use a GPT prompt to find if the prospect's email has a phone number in the signature. We either find that phone number or we enrich it, send that to close. So we use close for our CRM to manage everything. Send it to close in Slack. The SDR calls them. We have so all of the SDR, like all of our SDRs, they're supposed to call these people thrice on the same day to get in touch with them.
Mhm.
And once they do get in touch, either book an appointment or find out they're not interested. So nothing complicated here, but you do
Right.
need to make sure you're doing all of this to make the most out of your warm calls, out of all positive replies.
Got it. Got it. And would this be the same workflow for managing high volume outreach while maintaining quality responses? Would it be the same, or is there anything else you'd like to add?
Absolutely. So the higher the volume, the better. Like if you're only sending a few thousand emails and you're getting like 10 responses a week, your SDR
Mhm.
will not have enough to do. Because if you're getting 10 responses, you'll probably find phone numbers for like 3 or 4 of those. And not every
Right.
phone number you call is like, not everyone's going to answer the phone. So your
Absolutely.
SDR ends up talking to one person a week and you're paying them a full-time salary. So it doesn't make sense. You could do this yourself. Like if you're a SaaS company or if you're doing outreach for yourself, I would suggest calling everybody that responds with interest. But this works better with volume because now you have hundreds of people that you could potentially call, follow up with, and book appointments with. And calling is like, it's not, like calling it's hard. Like it takes grit to be able to call people. And you'll often get lots of rejections. You'll be sitting on the phone listening to the phone ringing, no one answering the phone. So if you don't have enough numbers, it can be very demotivating to keep calling people. I'm doing all of this, I'm spending all this time dialing but not getting anything out of it. So definitely recommend doing this with volume.
Takes me back for a minute. I was nostalgic when you started saying all this, all the old days, taking up and calling, cold calls. Yeah, beautiful. But I was also trying to find out if there's any chat, but everything is being handled right now. So probably that was it from my end. Is there anything that you'd like to add, Atishay? If not, we'll open the floor for questions. I'll let people ask them face to face.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just put this doc together so we have some structure. Don't really have, anything else to cover. Just
Got
this,
it.
since you mentioned the giveaway, this is how it works. Like anyone who's on the call, just DM me on LinkedIn. And we're gonna enrich a lead list for you. So this is specifically if you want to implement warm calling today, just send me a list of LinkedIn profiles of the people that responded positively to you. Will 500 per person so that more people can take advantage of this. But we'll enrich that list for you, send it back to you, and we'll take it from there.
You heard that, people. So drop a DM and get your free credits. But let's open the floor for questions. Atishay, thank you so much for that. That was really insightful. And thank you so much for the giveaway as well. But Joe's here. Joe's up and ready. So I'll open the floor for questions. Joe, I'm adding you to Spotlight. You can unmute yourself. Go for it, sir.
How are you guys? First of all, thank you. Great stuff. I joined a little late, but I'm always it's such a challenge trying to figure out what's working and what's not working. I mean, you think you're sending out enough. We're using Smartlead. I mean, it's just we're not getting the reply rates that we're looking for. I think, we're trying to follow the rules. I mean, and I know you've talked about some. We've kept it simple. We're enterprise SaaS. So that's one of the things I asked in the question was for non-marketing enterprise SaaS, because marketeers, we buy everything, right? We like to buy these things. We're excited about it. But trying to get to finance people and operations people is very, very tough. And I'm just curious if you have any insight around that as to what's working.
Right. So when it comes to non-marketing, we've found that it's actually easier to they might not be as as quick to buy, but it's easier to get in touch with them because they respond if the solution is right. And if you think about it, they're not receiving as many emails as someone who's in charge of marketing or titles like CMO, director of marketing. So what is it that what is your offer?
So our offer is for one of our businesses is accounts payable automation. So we're going to the finance team and trying to talk to them about automation, showing them the cost savings, and really the automation process of the finance department.
Right. Okay. So how I would go about doing something like this is talking about some things that are pet peeves for people in finance. And I know, so I have some friends who are chartered accountants. So I know they're pretty used to doing repetitive work themselves. But if you can talk about pain points, call them out in scripts, test different pain points, test different potential solutions, see what they respond the best to. That's going to be super effective. Make sure your deliverability is right. So if you're using, depending on the industries you're targeting, Outlook or Google, one of those might be better for you. If you're targeting more of the enterprise type companies, use Outlook accounts. They tend to do better. If these are small to medium sized businesses, Google Workspace is probably your best bet.
Okay. Very helpful.
Yeah, anything if you have follow-up questions, let me know as well.
Yeah. And did you put your LinkedIn or email in the
Yeah, it's there on the chat, Joe. I'll again send it to you here.
Okay. Thanks, guys. This has been super helpful.
Thank you for your time, Joe. Have a good one. Thank you. Next up is Joe as well. Go for it, Joe.
Hey guys, I really appreciate you actually say this has been very, very helpful. Just one quick question. In terms of industries and different markets, what are you seeing are, industries that tend to get better reply rates and any particular industries and niches that are just like a no-go for you?
Right. So that's a question with several layers to it. It's hard to answer because a lot of people will tell you e-commerce, stay away from e-commerce. But some of our best performing clients are in e-commerce. So it's more about what you're all of these industries, businesses with money are always spending money. They're not no good business, no business owner worth their salt is hoarding money. They're always spending on something. If you're selling the thing that they want to buy, they will buy from you. as long as you can build trust. The biggest obstacle when it comes to selling through outbound is people not trusting you. People think you're some sort of a scammer, right? So if you can build trust, if you can show authority, people will buy from you. Now, that said, I would stay away from certain industries where email as a channel is not a good way to reach people, right? An example would be plumbers. So you don't expect plumbers to be responding to emails all day, right? They're out and about in their trucks doing jobs, and then at the end, in the evenings, they're with their family. So think about whether or not your prospect is looking at their email inbox, and then based on that, decide what industry you want to go for. So there's a lot of factors that come into play, and this is why there's no like decision-making process or a flow chart that I could give you to decide whether or not industry is good. But anyone that's one where email is an effective channel to communicate whatever you're selling to the prospect, that's good. Two, if you're selling something that has a lot of social proof, like even for Supercom, so some of our clients, they offer marketing and branding consultation. Super hard to, it's almost impossible to create a tangible value out of it, but they have lots of social proof. They work with some of the biggest names in the country. So they do well because now you're reaching out from a position of authority. So it really depends on what is it that you're selling, how you're selling it, if you can find a way to stand out. And then obviously email should be an effective channel to get in front of your prospects. If your prospects are not looking at emails, then it could be the best offer in the world. You could have the most social proof, but they just won't respond to you.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So I'll turn off my campaign to the oil rig workers. They're not really replying.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Yusuf, if you can turn on your video, I'll spotlight you. Go for it.
So I have a short question that I want to ask you. First of all, can you hear me?
yep.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So when should I decide that my email campaign is not working? And I want to just give a bit more detail. My campaign currently is to do consulting businesses in Europe, and I'm offering them a lead generation business. And it's been going for 4 days. This is my first campaign ever. I've reached out to like 500 people. 100 to 150 of them are follow-up emails. So basically 350 individuals. I've got 93% open rate, but almost 0% reply rate. I got 5 replies, 1 was no, and 4 was automatic replies. So am I supposed to wait it out a bit more, or should I decide to go another way? I don't know what to do from now on.
Right. So right off the bat, Yusuf, 500 is not enough data. Like it's not a large enough sample size to determine whether or not a campaign is working. Now, you might want to change certain things, certain aspects of your campaign based on some of the responses you're getting. Is this a brand new campaign? Like, are these fresh domains?
Yeah, this is a brand new campaign, but I have warmed up the email accounts.
Okay, so
there's no
so
problem there.
so it's fair, we can reasonably make an assumption that deliverability is not an issue. In that case, try to switch up, like send 500 more, like at least reach out to 1,000 prospects. If you have 0 positive responses, even after talking to 1,000 prospects, try to switch up the angle you're going in with. Again, so the last thing you want to trash is the industry. Like the first thing you want to change is try to offer something different. So switch up the angle, switch up the offer, right?
Yeah,
If that's
absolutely.
there's like in almost all cases, you could come up with infinite variations of angles and offers. You wouldn't really get to the point of like testing subject lines or CTAs or things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, absolutely. And I have changed my email, but I'm sending to them like 4 times already in 4 days. The last one is, I think, is the best, but it's only been like 100 emails that seen the last version. So yeah, I should probably wait it out.
Right. And the first email is the one that gets the most eyeballs, irrespective of what the open rate metrics say. The first email is what most people will look at. So make sure you're testing the most significant things, the most impactful stuff in email number 1 on the follow-ups.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, Yusuf. Bryce, if you can turn on your video, I'll spotlight you. Yes, sir. Go for it.
There we go. Mute's off. Good. Okay. There's 2 questions. One, there's a lot of questions coming from the chat that I don't know that has been fully fleshed out in this, but having to do with open rate tracking. People keep bringing up open rate tracking. Even the last guy just talked, it's high open rate tracking. Like, can you talk about that as like what should be done there or shouldn't be done as far as tracking open rates?
Right. So we don't track open rates at all. And this was last year. We
Good.
were running campaigns. I personally ran a test, so we enabled open rate tracking. Sent myself an email, and what we found out was an email is counted as open if it lands. Like, I didn't open any of the emails we sent, like 3, 4. 2 of them were marked as already open, even though I didn't open them. So that was, an immediate indicator that this metric is probably not reliable. So that's why we don't track open rates at all. So these days, it's reply rate is the only metric we look at. You're muted, Bryce.
You're on mute again.
There we go. Cool. And the other question is having to do with like number of emails and a cadence. Like, let's say, and the time delay that you generally do between emails. That hasn't come up in the chat, but I feel like it would be the next thing anybody's going to talk about in there anyway. So it's like you send an email, 2 days, 3 days follow up, 1 day follow up. How many, based off the industry, sending 4 emails, 3 emails? How would you go about deciding that? And what metrics do you look at in order to compare campaigns so that you know you're getting the optimal amount of emails with the lowest amount of unsubscribes?
So we usually wait 3 days. This is not something we test extensively. Like, this is one of the things that, that's on a level 2 on our priority list after offers and angles. Like I said, our first email is the one that we're testing the most. That is where we experiment with offers and pitches. Email number 2, the follow-up we send, is usually some sort of an addendum to email number 1. So, in some cases, email number 2 might be case studies. Some cases, it might be handling potential objections, like reasons we know, things people are thinking, but they're not asking you. So we'd send an email addressing those and stuff like that. So it's usually more context to email number 1. Most of our sequences are 2 steps, sometimes 3 steps, where step number 3 is where we're asking people if there's someone else we can reach out to, or if we're offering, an even software CTA, where we ask them, can I send you anything more for you to help you decide? That's it, 3 steps max.
Awesome. Thank you, Bryce. I did see a couple of people asking how you'd want to ask questions. So there's a reactions button in the center. Click on that, raise your hands, and I'll spotlight you if you have any questions. Yeah. In the meantime, again, Atishay, if you'd want to give a quick recap of the giveaway, we'll let the users know. I see a couple of people join late, so probably if they'd want to know the giveaway.
Right, absolutely. So we're going to enrich up to 500 leads for you. So a total of 10,000 leads. So, if you have people that responded positively, DM me on LinkedIn. Send me a list with their LinkedIn profile URLs. We'll enrich them, enrich that list with phone numbers, give that to you. And hopefully you can warm call them, get some appointments, get some sales out of it.
You are the man, and you have his profile on the chat as well. So you know whom to DM. But if that's it, thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time. Thank you so much, Atishay, for all these insights. This has been super helpful. And there was a question. I was tracking his steps and got it. That was for Bryce. Anyways, thank you so much, Atishay. Thank you so much for the insights. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time. So we'll see you on the next session. Happens every Thursday. And until then, ciao.
Thanks so much for putting this together, guys. Cheers, all of you. Take care.